Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video for the Warships. And in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at top 5 most powerful destroyers that you can play right now in the ranked battle, in which you can breeze your grind a lot much more, I would say, easier, or I would say a lot much more better way possible with these destroyers that I'm going to be recommending you in this video. I'm going to be explaining the reasons why I would recommend this particular destroyer and what are the strengths and weaknesses, especially in the aircraft carriers as well, because we have tier 8 aircraft carriers. We are talking about the Bronze League, tier 8 versus tier 8 game. So, well, there would be some issues with the carriers, and there are some destroyers out there that can do pretty well. So I will be explaining that in detail. So don't worry about that. If you do like the content, and if you do find my recommendations useful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And let's talk about our number 5th pick, which is going to be the Tech 3 destroyer, the Pan-European destroyer, the Split. Now, Split is very nice. The recent buffs that Wargaming has done to the Split really makes it very nice at tier 8, and it is pretty good destroyer versus destroyer simply because it does have access to radar. Now, the radar only lasts for 10 seconds, but the detection of ships is 9 kilometers, so you can just instantly spot the destroyer the moment you radar, okay? And you also have smoke to basically utilize it to just take no damage whatsoever, and you can pop the radar to just farm that destroyer for at least 10 seconds, which you can even upgrade if you want to with the help of the surveillance radar mod, but I would not kind of recommend it. It's only going to increase it to 2 seconds, but that could be also useful. The reason why Split is also very nice pick at number 5 is because of the guns. They have improved the reload time of the guns such that with these 5 guns, you now have very good HE alpha, but also having a decent reload time of 3.4 seconds, okay? In comparison, we have Loyang, okay, which is very decent destroyer, definitely very interesting for ranked battle as well, but you have 4 guns with 3.3 seconds, okay? There are some other ships out there that having kind of worse reload time. For example, even if I talk about the Hansen Yang, it also has 4 guns. And also if I talk about something like maybe the Benson, which is a sort of a, American gunboat, at tier 8 Tech 3 destroyer, it also have 3.3 seconds. So I see Split to be very good and powerful against destroyers with the help of the radar and smoke combo. That is one of the things that can counter destroyers very nicely. You can definitely do some decent damage. You might not be able to kill them, but definitely you will put them back onto the back foot, I would say. And then obviously with the help of the radar, you can just come back with 60 seconds of cooldown time and can just radar again. You can get 5 consumables with the help of Superintendent, which is very nice. Your torpedoes, I would say, are not the best. I mean, they are 10,700 damage. The range is actually a bit abysmal, 8.5 kilometer. But again, if someone really pushing on you, Split torpedoes are still gonna do some damage. And I would say in that regard, Split can self-defense utilizing these torpedoes in a way. It's not a good torpedo boat destroyer in any way. It's about the guns, which you can farm on battleships, cruiser, and destroyers. With the help of smoke and radar combo, you can counter the destroyers. And that's the reason why I like Split a lot. It's not particularly powerful against battleships. It's definitely not. But again, you have speed boost, and if you kind of improve the range if you want to. I mean, with the module like this, you can get it up to 11.3. If you use the AFT, whatever you call it, with the captain skill, you can get it even more. Because the shell velocity is pretty decent, I would say. So the shells are a bit comfortable. They will be relatively easily able to land around 13 kilometers if you are farming battleships at range, which you definitely need to do that so, because you kind of save your smokes for like destroyers or maybe in a position where you want to disengage. So that's where the Split is pretty nice. Now, entire defense is not really good. So that's where it's definitely going to suffer. And your concealment is also not really good. You can get it up to like maybe, 6.6, 6.5 kilometer. I don't exactly remember the concealment value. It's going to be like more than 6.5 kilometer-ish or something. So it's not that good, okay? But you do have a radar, right? So you can definitely outspot destroyers at will whenever you pop it, again, which is very nice. So overall, with the survivability, that can be a bit decent. I mean, it can go a lot better with the help of the survivability expert perk. You can get it to more than 18,000, which is going to be pretty respectable. I would definitely like Split to be played a lot much more often by players in ranked battles, and hence I am gonna be recommending you guys to play it. It's a really good gunboat, also countering destroyer type of ship. It's a must ship, I would say, if you don't have any other premium ship, which I will be explaining later. So definitely pick the split. You will be enjoying it, I'm sure. The gun power is very comfortable. It's very good. It's just gonna have good time when you are farming ships in the smoke. And you can also counter destroyers, just like I said. Your 5 radars are very good in these very short, 6 versus 6 battles. So not a whole lot of destroyers and a lot of radars to burn means that you can counter destroyers very effectively. So that's why split is pretty nice overall as a countering destroyer sort of thing at number 5 for ranked battles. Also, I want to mention about the split, maybe I just forget that, is the speed. The speed is really nice, okay? And the thing that I was talking about, farming battleships at range, split can do that really nicely. You have a really good potential in speed juking. You also have the speed boost, which is at least 8% increase in speed. But again, combined with 40 knots of speed that you have with the Sierra Mike flag, you can eventually have some decent stats. I think it's going to go like 43 knots. And that is pretty comfortable in farming battleships at range while speed juking the shell. So I think I should not miss that. And that's one of the things of the split and this whole line in general, that they have decent speed. And that's why this is really nice destroyer at number 5. At number 4, I would highly recommend this premium destroyer, which is Le Terrible. Now, Le Terrible is actually a bit better in some characteristics compared to Le Fantasque, which is also kind of having the similar characteristics to that of premium destroyer that I'm talking about. But the reason why Le Terrible is better is certainly because its damage output is a lot better. I would say 20% better. I mean, just in terms of the factual stats, the Le Terrible has 20% more DPM. It has 120k HE DPM versus Fantasque's 100k DPM. I have checked that and I just figured out that, yeah, Le Terrible, at least in that regard, is very nice, okay? Your HP pool is good. You have French built-in saturation mechanics, which means that you will take half the damage the moment your part of the hull will get saturated. And obviously with the half damage that you take, it means that it has theoretically more HP, even though it does not have access to heal. Even then, the HP is more than what you are looking at the screen right now. So Le Terrible is pretty nice with this pretty decent HP, pretty good guns, and also have access to main battery load booster. Now again, destroyer versus destroyer. If the destroyer somehow managed to mess up while outspotting the Le Terrible, I mean, Le Terrible does not have the best of the concealment. It's only having 6.7 kilometer concealment, that it is slightly worse than Le Fantasque, if I'm not wrong. But here's the thing. Le Fantasque has better DPM and having access to reload booster, which means that once you pop the reload booster, it having double the DPM, right? It's just gonna absolutely wreck that destroyer that has just completely got caught off guard. Even though he can outspot the Le Terrible in most situations, but still, that's the thing. The ambushing power of the Le Terrible against a destroyer is really nice. Your speed does help to do that pretty nicely. You have 45.2 knots of speed, which is a lot better than, I would say, the split that I was talking about at number 5. And then you also have the engine boost that gives 20% speed, which means that you can get to eventually 52, 55 knots, something like that. So that is pretty massive jump in the speed, compared to the split. And that's why, because of the speed itself, it gets a lot much more powerful also against sort of aircraft carrier. Now, it has pretty terrible anti-air defense, right? But again, you will be finding out the carriers with rockets, the HE bombs, and Le Terrible is going to be such that he can easily dodge those rockets and bombs simply because of its speed, juking capabilities, or just outmaneuvering the rocket aim of the enemy carrier with just the speed only, which really makes it nice. The turning circle is relatively good. I'm not gonna say that it is really nice. It's just average, I would say. There are some destroyer that has better turning circle, but it's not bad with this rudder shift. So maneuverability is okay, but it gets a lot better. Again, just like I said, with the engine boost, speed juking capabilities of these French destroyers are pretty nuts. So with that said, you have a very good package in taking on destroyers. You also have torpedoes that are very hard hitting. You have very good concealment on these torpedoes at 1.4 kilometer, decent speed at 65 knots, but again, high damaging torpedoes, you have 9 torpedoes. So how it works is that you have at least 6 torpedoes that you can send on one side, and then one set of 3 torpedoes that you can send on the other side, which means that you still have relatively decent torpedo DPM with 77 seconds of reload time. And then, I mean, you have this ability because of this French saturation mechanics that it has built in onto that destroyer. You can actually YOLO some of the battleships if you find them that you cannot kill them like really quickly, and you might want to change the tide of the game. You can just simply YOLO them with these very hard-hitting torpedoes. 6 torpedoes should be enough to kill the tier 8 battleship. Most of the time, you're going to be shooting along the way once you are pushing into it. That would help a lot in just chunking him down. And I mean, again, the reload booster is a real blessing. Again, in a very short 6 versus 6 game, like the ship composition is very small. The reload booster that you have are a lot, 4 of them. You will find later to be a lot much more powerful. Killing destroyers if they get spotted, at least at mid ranges, mid to close ranges, the shell velocity is very, very nice. The shell velocity, just like Split, is pretty decent, right? We are talking about the French guns. They are pretty good. The Kleber has pretty good guns. The Mogador has, in terms of shell velocity, so it's not going to be that of a problem. The HE Alpha is very nice. Fire chance is 10%. You can get it up to like 11% if you use the fire flags, which makes it overall a great package. If you have a Jack Jean's Honor, it's going to improve the adrenaline rush skill a bit better than compared to other normal captains. So that is really nice. Overall, late terrible with the Turtleverse. Turtleverse is something that is on to the weaker side, but again, this Jack Jean's Honor is like amazing captain. You're just going to improve the Turtleverse speed by 20% by just simply slap this skill, and then your Turtleverse is now 15 seconds, which is not too bad, I would say. Not too bad now. So with this whole package that Literable gets, it's definitely better than Elefantask in terms of DPM. And it's definitely better to take on destroyers in general. I mean, the Split does have a chance in smoking up and farm Laterable in return, but again, if somehow he does not have smoke, Laterable can also come back by just farming him fully, 0 HP, by the main battery load booster for 15 seconds, which is very, very powerful. I will just emphasize the guns, the AP, the HE, both of them are really nice, okay? The AP also have decent penetration. At least at 6 to 5 kilometers, you might be able to citadel cruisers, which is sort of a good thing. So with this thing, with the speed monster sort of thing that this ship is, at tier 8, this is gonna be extremely good pick for the ranked battles at tier 8. No doubt about that. It has really good capabilities with torpedoes. 8 kilometer range. Your concealment is such that you can sell torps, so it's not like Kleber, with only 8 kilometer range and only 7.8 kilometer concealment with max, so it's definitely better than Kleber, at least in that regard. So overall, with this, you will be having a good time playing ranked battles if you're fine without using the smokes. The smokes is not available, so that is a bit of a daring pick, I would say, for the players that like to farm in smokes, because you have to play open water, but it has plentiful of range. If you want to build it for range, you can do that, surely. I haven't built it, but you can certainly do that. And because of this, I would highly recommend Laterable, sometimes more than Split in many situations, at number 4, at least in my opinion. At number 3, I would say that Loyang B, the tier 8 premium destroyer, holds up its game still quite well after a long time ago that it got released. Loyang is pretty nice. I have the B version, black version, but it does not matter. It's basically the same thing. But what makes Loyang really nice, even in 2025? Well, Loyang is very nice because of this really good combo of hydroacoustic search, which is 5.5 kilometer detection of ships. This is something that you need to know. And also, it has a smoke generator. Now, the thing about the Loyang B is that it is kind of having the similar characteristics of that of Benson, okay? And Benson having 4 guns, so that the Loyang also does have it. Now, the DPM of Loyang might not be impressive, but like I said before, it has interesting hydro. 5.5 kilometer detection is not something that even a destroyer that is Z35 has as well. I mean, the German destroyers, or I mean cruisers, usually have a long range of hydroacoustic search. But in the case of Loyang, it's a bit of an exception. Having 5.5 kilometer detection, having 5.8 kilometer concealment means that you only The enemy destroyer only have to check and watch out that 0.3 kilometer of, the enemy destroyer literally have no time to realize that he is within 5.5 kilometer of hydro if he is pushing in. That's what I want to say, okay? And then if you smoke up, the hydro will just gonna lit him forever. It's having a action time of 110 seconds. You can increase it up to more than that if you use hydroacoustic search mode 1. So the Loyang has sort of a permanent radar if you kind of look at that way. So compared to Split, it is definitely a lot better, right? The radar of the Split is very long range, but it only lasts for 10 seconds, which is not typically enough to kill a destroyer. But in the case of Loyang B, most of the time the destroyer kind of going to catch off guard, getting into that 5.5 kilometer hydro, and then the smoke means that you are not spotted, while at the same time the enemy team destroyer has completely messed up his positioning because he is in the hydro that he has to turn out and just ran away from this. Now the Loyang B has not impressive DPM in any way possible. I mean, for example, the Late Terrible has better DPM, not the better DPM. Late Terrible has slightly higher reload time, but it has reload booster to definitely make up for it. It has definitely worse DPM than the Split. Obviously, Split has 5 guns with 3.4 seconds of reload time. 4 guns of the Loyang with 3.3 seconds is not enough compared to the Split itself. Also, at least compared to the Split, the torpedoes are a bit, I would say, a bit better, slightly more better, but you have 10 torpedoes and having less range at 9.2 kilometer. Again, definitely better than Split, and the damage is also slightly higher, but again, these torpedoes are pretty slow, although the detection is very nice. So these torpedoes are good in a way that if the battleship is pushing you and you are sending the torpedo set 1 by 1 onto that battleship, well, then you will be getting a lot of value. And even then, your reload time is under 100 seconds. So, I mean, if you don't have smoke and if you have a bit less HP to counter another destroyer and you're waiting for the smoke to come back, you can just send torpedoes during that time onto the battleships that are pushing you, or at least showing broadside to you, or they're just going towards the cap. So that's where the torpedoes are still a bit useful. The guns are only going to be useful against destroyers, and you can just trade them well if they're caught in a hydro. So again, just like I said, Late Terrible has a unique way in taking on DDs. If they don't have the smoke, Late Terrible just going to wreck them. But again, the Split and the Loyang B relies on smoke and the hydro or radar combo, respectively. Especially the Loyang B. Loyang B is more dependent or on the hydro because of that. So you have to utilize it very properly with the smoke. If you mess up, it's going to be not that difficult to just take your 18.7k HP down to 0. So again, the HP is okay, but it's not something that you can heal back. And you cannot heal back in Late Terrible, but Late Terrible has French saturation mechanics, so you have to still, understand that. But the hydro is extremely powerful, definitely very powerful against destroyers. Even pushing cruisers, you can actually send the torpedoes, even though I would say they're also going to have hydro. So yeah, the battleships are the remaining option that you might want to smoke. You might want to have yourself in smoke, and the battleship pushes you, and then you will do and send the torpedoes and farm the damage. Now, great thing about the Loyang B is that you have a very long dispersion time smoke, like on the American ships, right? It's kind of like a Benson sort of hull, okay? And that's why it also have access to very long action time and dispersion time of smoke. So it means that even though your DPM might not be good, you're smoking up. If there's something that is the enemy battleship or cruiser, you can just simply farm them in smoke for a long time, provided that your ally carrier or maybe the battleship pushing into that enemy battleship and trying to farm, and you can just support them like that by smoking up like this. Because open water is also kind of don't exist in the case of Loyang B, unlike Late Terrible and Split, because it has pretty bad shell velocity. Shell locks are pretty bad. Again, American shell locks are something that is also in the Loyang. So yeah, that's where it's not going to be worth it. On the other hand, it's also kind of trading out this engine boost and defensive fire, although the air defense is pretty bad. I think this is the biggest weakness. Late Terrible can mitigate damage by speed juking, by having insane speeds of more than 50 knots. And also the French saturation mechanics are going to be helpful for Late Terrible against carriers. But Loyang B has a very long smoke. It does not have short burst smoke generator like Cossack, like Lightning, like Z35. So it just don't have this very quick disengaging power with the help of smoke. And you have to also utilize the smoke properly, so it's gonna be a bit difficult for the Loyang to do much against aircraft carrier. If it comes out of the smoke, then you know that the carrier will eventually farm you a lot because the anti-defense kinda does not exist. Almost nothing. You can shoot down some planes, but I mean the carrier has ton of planes, and yeah, you cannot do much. The concealment is, as I said, it's very nice. It's better than late terrible. It's better than split. So you will be outspotting a lot of destroyers, even though you do also have this, just like I said, the very powerful Hydro Smoke combo. So overall, because of the very good concealment, good turning circle, very impressive. Like the turning circle and reverse is like very impressive. And the base speed is already 40 knots, so you might missing out on speed boost, but the torpedo spotting is easy because of the Hydro. And that's the reason why, because of these decent tools that it still has, the Loyang B is a very still worthy ship in 2025 to pick. Now you also have alternating torpedoes, right? You can also use the alternate torpedoes if you want to. Now these are very better. These are better hard-hitting torpedoes, but again, speed is also better, but then range you are missing out. So you also have some flexibility in terms of the torpedoes. So because of that, because of this whole package, with a decent speed and the smokes, very long smokes, you can smoke up your cruisers if you want to maybe think like this. So that's where the Loyang is extremely powerful. I would say better than late terrible and the split, you know, under many situations. I won't say it's pretty good, like very good compared to them, but it's like having a lot much more edge in many situations, especially the smoke Hydro combo, which I'm kind of emphasizing a lot because that's the only reliable tool. The Loyang, you have to utilize this gimmick to make it work. And that's the reason why, in my opinion, I would put it at number 3. I think it's not possible for me or any player to miss out on this destroyer at number 2, which is an American Kid. Now, Kid is really nice. Honestly, you're going to be having a lot much more firepower because of the heals that the Kid have, okay? The Kid is good in ranked battles simply because not only that you have pretty much similar Loyang smokes, like again, Loyang, American smoke, it also have American smoke because it's an American ship. So it does have smokes. Now it does have heals because that's the really insane gimmick. You get heals, which are 4 of them, which makes your life a lot much more good against destroyers with the DPM that you has. Again, the DPM is like, I would say pretty roughly the same with the 5 guns at 3.2 seconds of reload time. I mean, I have some captain skills in, working or kicking, at least, making the reload time slightly better. But the split also have very similar DPM, but slightly better alpha. So I would say roughly it's kind of equivalent to that of Kid. So the DPM is overall pretty good, and you also have heals to compensate for the HP that you tank along the way. And for the destroyer, that is a really important thing. Like you have 19.5k HP, which you can actually get it up to 20.5k with the flag, and obviously with more HP you can heal back slightly more. So that is very nice. You can heal back quite a lot of HP with the help of these 4 heals. You also have some decent anti-defense. Now it's not like crazy good. Pre-CV rework, before the CV rework happened, it used to have insane, one of the best entire destroyer in the game. But now it's not the case. But even then, your base anti-defense is not too bad against tier 8 carriers with defensive fire. I mean, this is something that I will make quote unquote. With defensive fire, your anti-defense is gonna be okay. Without anti-defense, you're still gonna suffer. But again, heals is just gonna be making your life a lot much more, like, really good, right? And this is something that I think the Kid definitely gets huge advantage. Now, huge advantage of the Kid is also going to be that it has really good concealment at 5.8 kilometer. Now, it has better concealment than late terrible, better concealment than split, although split can just use the radar. But again, only for 10 seconds, and then you have heal, so you can just tank that damage whatever the split has done. So you can just do pretty nice against split, that's for sure, if I just compare it to my previous rankings, or I would say list that I have explained. So that's why Kid is really nice. Your DPM is nice, your HP is nice, your torpedoes, well, now that's where the Kid kind of suffers. You have 9.2 kilometer range, just like on the Loyang. The damage is better from 11k to 16k. Your detection on the torpedoes is good, but the speed is bad. So these torpedoes are also kind of like, if you hit them, you get a flood, and that's basically it. And then you just, your main focus on the Kid is going to be utilizing the concealment, and then you just basically kill the destroyer with the help of the heals, and you can tank back quite a lot of HP by just healing your HP, So that's where the Kid is really nice. Your guns are good, you have 5 guns, just like I said. Your anti-defense, I already said it's good. Your maneuverability is also pretty good, I would say. Turning circle is just slightly worse than Loyang. Although Loyang is also, I would say, Loyang is better overall. But again, it's a Benson class destroyer. The Kid is kind of like a Fletcher class destroyer, if I'm not wrong. So that's where the differences are there. You do still have base 40 knots of speed. There are a lot of destroyers that has pretty decent speed overall. So you're not missing out much, but again, you're missing out on speed boost. If you want to use defensive AFR, then you cannot use engine boost. This is a bit of a downside, but if you want to use engine boost, there is the flexibility. Although I don't like carriers in particular against, at least if they're taking on a destroyer like me, so I just pick defensive AFR. That does help a lot in just taking out some of the planes, although it's not going to do a whole lot, but again, at least something better than nothing, right? At least for me. So overall, with the very, very good stats in every department except for the torpedoes, which I don't like. The torpedoes are only 5 sets, so yeah, one set of 5 torpedoes. So that's where it's just gonna not do much. But your gunpowder is good. You're smoking up. You farm the battleship or cruiser if you want to. Taking on destroyers is very, very easy if you get a good opportunity, and that's why, because of these gimmicks, the Kid, in my personal opinion, is just going to take on Loyang very nicely if you don't caught off guard in their radar. Okay, and you can take on Late Terrible just because you have these heals. These heals are like the best thing. The gimmick is extremely good. I just cannot emphasize more than that. It's really nice. So that's why Kid for me definitely gonna be pretty powerful at number 2. Now you can also, if you really want to improve your HP further, you can also assign Alexander Ovechkin, which is gonna improve its HP even further to 21k. So this is, I think, the maximum HP that you can get on a Kid. Again, that will help a lot. So that's why Kid definitely is worth it, and I would say recommended at number 2 because of its overall very good strengths and very little weaknesses. Now finally, in my opinion, the number 1 destroyer in the rank battle at tier 8 is going to be the British destroyer. That is Cossack. Now that's a premium destroyer, but I'm sure a lot of people might know Cossack, that it is so good. I would say it's one of the best destroyers for rank battles. Many reasons. Now you take many of the good traits of, I would say, the Kid, and you put it on Cossack, but a lot better. Now, what I meant by that is, let's talk about the concealment. The Kid has, the Kid has 5.8 kilometer concealment, for example. Cossack has 5.5 kilometer concealment. Now, that is almost good as that of Kagero class destroyer. Now, Kagero class destroyer like Asashio that you might face, or Kagero that you might face, they have 5.4 kilometer concealment. Cossack has 5.5 kilometers concealment. So that's where the Cossack can even have a good opportunity in spotting down those very stealthy destroyers out there. And for the gun performance that it has with 8 guns, that is insane, right? 5.5 kilometer concealment is really, really impressive. Now, what makes Cossack really impressive, in my opinion, is these short smokes. Now, just like I said again, it's gonna be better than Kid in many ways, except for the heal. Obviously, the heal is the main and the most important thing. That's what makes Kid very special, right? But what makes Cossack special, at least increasing the survivability, like in the case of Kid, we have the heal. In the case of Cossack, we have the short burst smoke generator, which are probably some of the most valuable smokes that you can get on a destroyer in the game. You have short smokes, they last for 40 seconds, they load very quickly under around 25 to 20 seconds, which means that you just keep spamming the smokes and will just do hit and run thing. Now, for example, if the kid does utilize a smoke, okay, you can not only outspot the kid cannot smoke up again, okay? Maybe at the initial fight, when you started to brawl with this kid or whatever, you're taking on it, you outspotted the kid, okay? And that the Cossacks just literally smoke up, the kid smokes up, and then you guys disengage. Now, kid does have some advantage there because he can heal back some of the HP while you can't. But you do have smokes, and then after 40 seconds, you will get your smoke back relatively quickly, okay? And then afterwards, if the kid spots you again, you can just use the smoke. If he shot the guns, if any battleship out there does spot him because of the bloom of the guns, and the kid just keeps shooting in the smoke, like you simply just disengage in smoke, the battleship able to spot the kid shoots the gun at you, he cannot disengage because he does not have smoke. The smoke lasts for so long, so it's not going to be coming back, but then you can just farm kid back in return. And then you could just do it many, many times over and over again, right? And then you also have the hydroacoustic surge to just deal against those torpedoes that are coming towards you. Self-defense, hydroacoustic surge, only 3 kilometers per gain. Very useful for many reasons, right? So because of this, Cossack gets very, very defensive utilities that I just love. You also have the speed boost, which unfortunately the kid has to trade off for maybe defensive fire. Now, Cossack already, just like I said, you have short burst smoke generator. If the carriers comes to strike you down, right? If the carriers really hate you, now they can hate you and they can just spot you for ages because you have almost little to no anti-defense. Like, it's really terrible. Compared to the kids, it's like miles worse than the kid. It's even worse than the Loyang. So that's where the Cossack definitely might suffer. But again, you have short smokes generator, right? Short burst smoke generator. You just smoke up, wait for the CV to just hover around for 40 seconds, and somehow just manage your ship to just run away by just making a nice plan out there, and you can just do that and just make carrier not do anything at least, and he will eventually switch the target. Now he can put the plane, but then you can shoot the planes if you are staying in the smoke for some time. So at least that is the really nice thing about the Cossack. The short burst smoke generator and with this insane concealment just makes it amazing. And you also have the speed boost. And you also have the built-in British acceleration, right? And on top of the speed boost, you're just going to be juking pretty crazy if you just accelerate. Speed juking by acceleration is something that Cossack is going to be really going to be good at because of the engine boost and the built-in acceleration of the British typically destroyers get. So that is really, really what is good. Now, what is also good that the DPM that I haven't even talked about, the DPM of the Cossack is also very, very good. You have 8 guns with 4.8 seconds of reload time, so you can just always smoke up, farm ships in return. You also have torpedoes. Now, torpedoes are kind of having pretty much in line, or I would say pretty much in having some similarities with the kid. Very less torpedoes, but here it has a bit more advantage than kid itself, and that is the torpedo tube's reload time is significantly better. 66 seconds means it's almost a minute. In almost a minute, you are going to get, like slightly more than a minute, I would say, you're going to get your torpedoes loaded. Send 4 torpedoes. You can also single launch them torpedoes one by one, so you can just make a unique pattern for a particular ship that is pushing towards you if you are in these short burst smokes. And then you can just do pretty decent damage even then regardless. And that's why the flexibility of Cossack is unlike anything in the game, right? It's just too good. I mean, if you want to caught DDs, you still can utilize the hydro, catching them at least around 3 kilometers. And if they are thinking of torpedo you, I think it's going to be a really bad idea. Cossack is just going to have so easy time dodging torps. You have action time of 200 seconds. So, like, these all things with the insanely good rate of shift and pretty decent turning circle, like these all things with the concealment, man. I just love concealment in Cossack, man. It just makes it one of the most versatile, flexible, and very powerful destroyer that if you play it, you will be having not only fun, but also having high game impact, really high game impact at tier 8. So I think I would end the Cossack description or whatever I'm talking about. I hope you understand what I said. And Cossack is good because of these things, right? I mean, it's good for many reasons. And one of the reasons, just like I said, overall, everything is good. Every single thing is good except for the torpedoes. If we would have 8 torpedoes, Cossack would have been probably the first ship that I would pick ever, all the time. So if we would have like 4 more torps, but I mean, you cannot have everything for like every single thing, like every single time. So that's not something that I would say much. But overall, what do you think about this list? Do you think Cossack is really one of the most powerful destroyer? I believe that's so. And I'm just going to give some honorable mentions. I think the Lightning deserves some mention because, again, if you don't have Cossack, you can buy the budget Cossack Lightning that have 8 torpedoes, which is, I would say, very, very nice, right? I was talking about, I wish Cossack has 8 torpedoes. Well, Lightning has 8 torpedoes at least. Having less range, but at least 8 torpedoes, which is, I would say, a lot much more better. The reload time is, just like I said, slightly on the worse side, but 8 torpedoes is still 8 torpedoes. 6 guns, slightly better reload time, from 5 to 4.5 seconds, but in the case of Cossack, you have at least 8 guns, so that's where Cossack is better. So because of the concealment, that is 5.5 kilometer, and you're getting pretty much almost everything overall, except you're missing out on speed boost, which is like a huge thing for me, to be honest, because your speed is going to be more than 40 knots in Cossack, that you barely able to do that so in Lightning. So that's where the Lightning definitely feel a bit short. But again, Lightning is like of a budget Cossack. It has almost everything except couple of downgrades or couple of upsides. So you can also pick Lightning as an honorable mention. The guns are pretty good. Just like I said, the reload time, pretty okay. At 4.5, you can improve it if you want to. And because of this, Lightning feels for me as an honorable mention for sure. At least not really good compared to the Cossack, but again, defensive utilities like short burst smoke generator and short range hydroacoustic surge is something that you still love on any destroyer, and especially these destroyers are very lovely to pick on. So what do you guys think about this list? What do you guys play at tier 8, right, in the ranked battles? Please let me know in the comments. I'm sure that I might have missed some of the destroyers, like maybe someone might recommend me a Sashio. I don't particularly like a Sashio. I don't particularly like Orkan, that it has a radar as well, but it does not have smoke. The entire defense is pretty bad, and that's the reason why I'm not really picking any other destroyer other than these destroyers that I have mentioned. So what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys into the next one. Peace out.